I got a question for y'all. Any of y'all ever heard of a guy by the name of Christopher B.G. Dorsey?
This BG, aka B Jizzle, Chopper City Gorilla Gang. We out here on the block holding it down like real niggas supposed to. You know what it is. You hear me? Holla at your boy. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't heard of him, Christopher Dorsey, better known by his stage name BG or Baby Gangsta, is a rapper from New Orleans, Louisiana who began his music career with signing to Cash Money back in 1996. Him, along with Lil Wayne, Turk, and Juvenile, formed the all-star rap group, the Hot Boys.
Bling bling. It's all good. Too clean and bling bling.
Let's do this.
Hey, I need to come bust. I don't care what y'all say.
Let's do this.
We're not going to talk about none of that because I'm sure y'all know all about that. We're going to talk about the night of November the 3rd, 2009, when BG and two other gentlemen were riding in a Chevy Tahoe. We're going to break down and analyze that traffic stop and the two gentlemen he was with. Now, according to testimony from Gerard Feddersen in the Telly Hankton racketeering trial, him, BG, a guy by the name of Walter Mooney Porter, who was a well-known hitman in New Orleans, and Damone Pollard were all at the daiquiri shop when they saw police peeking into the daiquiri shop's window. Feddersen, saying that he has a gun on him, and Mooney has two guns on him, tells Mooney to take the guns, hop the fence, and he'll meet him at a nearby gas station. According to Feddersen, at this time, Mooney Porter proceeds to hop the fence and goes to meet them at the gas station. They leave to get into a Tahoe. According to the police, that Tahoe had been reported stolen. And according to Feddersen, he didn't realize that he had an additional 3 guns in the vehicle. He reportedly stashed them in a vehicle stash spot. Police will proceed to pull the vehicle over for a routine traffic stop and find the guns hidden inside of the stash spot. All 3 were presumably arrested. Now, this is when it gets very, very murky. According to authorities, BG will begin to persuade Mr. Pollard to take ownership of the guns along with Mr. Feddersen, convincing him that he was the only one in the vehicle without a criminal record, stating that the charges and the consequences would be a lot less for him rather than the other 2 who were convicted felons. Unknowingly to these 3 gentlemen, the FBI had Mr. Feddersen's phone tapped, and he was recorded telling his girlfriend that it was imperative that Mr. Pollard take the charges for the guns.
You know what I'm saying? Real niggas.
Hey, bro.
Now, everything really hit the fan a few years after that when BG and the other 2 were federally indicted in May of 2011. With the mountain of evidence against him and the government wiretaps, he ultimately decided to plead guilty and was sentenced to 168 months, or 14 years. We all know where he's been for the last few years. Let's take a look at the other 2 guys in the car with him. Let's start with Damone Pollard, who by some accounts was 17 years old at the time of the traffic stop. He initially took ownership of the guns, whether it was his own doing or pressure from the other 2. But after the government had the wiretap conversations with Feddersen and his girlfriend, they indicted Mr. Pollard, BG, and Mr. Feddersen sometime in August of 2011. He was convicted and sentenced to 30 months. The next sign of him was in June of 2013. It was reported where Mr. Pollard and his mother got into an altercation with a man on the 4900 block of Clara Street In that incident, Mr. Pollard was said to have brandished a firearm and was charged with aggravated assault. And then there's February of 2020. On the 28th of that month, the New Orleans Parish Coroner's Office ID'd a man that had lost control of his car and hit a tree during the early mornings of Mardi Gras. Then there's Gerard Fetty Fetterson. His story is not so easy to tell. Like we said earlier, in 2016 or so, he was a high-profile witness in the Telly Hankton racketeering trial, where he gave damning testimony against Hankton, hitman Walter Mooney Porter, who he considered a friend, as well as BG, who he was at the current time in a rap group with, titled the Chopper City Guerrilla Gang, for less time than the 20 years that he would be sentenced for being stopped in a Tahoe with BG and Pollard that night in 2009. Now, by all accounts, Fetterson was the star that the government was looking for, because he was a free man in May 2020 in the Harvey area of Louisiana, where he was accused of shooting into a car occupied by 3 men on the 2100 block of Colombo Drive, leading him to be facing 3 counts of attempted murder. Now, knowing Damon Pollard died in that tragic car accident, and Gerard Fetty Fetterson testified against one of the city's most notable rappers and 2 of the city's most dangerous men.
Free my nigga Telly Hankton, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? One of the realest niggas in the city, you know what I'm saying? They hating on him right now, you know what I'm saying? You think got him all over the news and shit, you know what I'm saying? Witnesses coming up dead and shit, man in jail, you know what I'm saying? He posted $1 million bond, you know what I'm saying? Now they don't want to give a nigga another bond because they knew the man gonna make the bond, you know what I'm saying? Sick, Mooney. You know what it is, baby. You heard me? It's all good in the hood. You heard me? Dog, tell it. Let's go. Dog, stop it. Hold on.
Don't just free tell it.
Run that camera.
Free Dino. Calling y'all.
Yeah.
Might we ask ourselves, did BG make it best out of that situation?